Let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're exploring the absolutely fascinating way our very own cells act exactly like highly efficient automated smart homes. When we think of a modern smart home, we usually picture lights that flip on when you walk into a room, maybe the AC adjusting itself to the perfect temperature, or appliances shutting down when you're not using them. Well, it turns out biology actually beat us to this technology by a few billion years. We're looking at the regulation of gene expression today, which is essentially the master control board for literally everything your body does at a microscopic level.
So think about it. If a cell expressed every single gene all the time, it would instantly exhaust its resources. Imagine turning on every light, every TV, the oven, the AC, and the blender in your house all at exactly the same time and just leaving them running 24/7. The energy bill would be catastrophic, right? In that same way, a cell needs a highly sophisticated solution to avoid wasting its precious energy and cellular materials. It absolutely needs to know exactly what to produce and exactly when to stop producing it.
In our source material for this explainer, these original handwritten notes brilliantly illustrates the biological engineering we're looking at today. We're going to unpack the incredible logic hidden right here in these lines, because as we decode this text, you're going to see how nature has devised a pretty flawless system for managing energy and resources.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. 1. The cell's control system. 2. Housekeeping, or the always-on genes. 3. Luxury, the smart genes. 4. Induction, flipping the switch. And 5. Repression, the off switch. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The cell's control system.
So the crucial point here is that organisms have this built-in switch system. The notes show us that it's entirely possible to regulate gene activity just by allowing some to function while actively restraining the activity of others. This mechanism literally stimulates the expression of certain genes while inhibiting others, based entirely on what the cell needs in that exact moment. It is definitely not random. It's a highly calculated response to the environment and the cell's own internal demands.
Moving on to Section 2, Housekeeping, the always-on genes.
Now, these are known as constitutive genes, or, honestly, much more commonly, housekeeping genes. Think of these kind of like your home's refrigerator or your Wi-Fi router. You literally never unplug them because you constantly need what they provide. Our source notes emphasize that these genes are expressed constantly. Why? Well, because their products are continuously required just to keep the cell alive and functioning. They form the absolute non-negotiable foundation of cellular survival, just running non-stop in the background. To make this a bit more concrete, our source gives us two perfect examples of these constant engines. First up, the genes responsible for glycolysis. This is that fundamental process of breaking down sugar to create energy, which a cell constantly needs to do to, stay alive. Second, the gene for the ATPase enzyme, which is another critical player in energy management. Whether you're sleeping, running a marathon, or just sitting there watching this explainer, these genes simply cannot be switched off.
All right, Section 3, Luxury, the smart genes.
By contrasting the two types, we can really clearly see the brilliance of this whole system. While those constitutive genes are always, constantly expressing their products, we have the second category, non-constitutive genes. These are also called smart genes or luxury genes. Unlike the buzzing housekeeping genes, these remain completely silent. They just sit there, patiently turned off, saving energy, and they're expressed only when the gene product is specifically required according to whatever the cell happens to be doing.
The source divides these non-constitutive genes into two distinct types, inducible and repressible. Let's actually explore exactly how each of these unique switch mechanisms operates to manage our biological smart home.
Which brings us to Section 4,
Induction, flipping the switch.
Okay, to understand inducible genes, we first have to meet the inducer. According to our source notes, an inducer is a chemical substance, like maybe a stray molecule from the environment, that is absolutely required to switch on the functioning of a specific gene. You can think of an inducer quite literally as a motion sensor in that smart home. The room is dark, the lights are off, but the second the sensor detects someone entering the room, that's the inducer, it triggers the system and flips the light switch right to on.
This sequential phenomenon is known as induction, and it happens flawlessly every single time. Imagine a new substrate, let's say a complex sugar, enters the cell. The cell suddenly realizes, hey, we need enzymes to metabolize this new material. So metabolite molecules from that sugar step up and act as the inducers. Their presence signals the need and boom, a very specific set of genes is switched on from their silent state, getting straight to work producing the exact enzymes needed to handle the substrate. Once the job is done, the inducer is gone and the switch flips right back off.
And finally, Section 5, Repression,
the off switch.
Now enter the repressible genes, and the rules are completely different here. Unlike inducible genes that are just patiently waiting in silence to be turned on, repressible genes are already in their switched-on state by default. Our notes explain that these genes continue to express themselves and synthesize metabolites until a specific chemical comes along to inhibit or repress their activity. Basically, they are running constantly until they receive a direct, targeted command to stop.
It is an incredible biological loop. Take a look at these steps derived right from our source. First, you have a gene working hard, continuously synthesizing a certain metabolite. But eventually, the amount of that metabolite being produced exceeds the cell's actual requirement. Or, perhaps, an abundance of that exact metabolite is suddenly supplied to the cell from the outside. So what happens? The end product itself becomes the signal to shut the factory down. Think about that. The very thing the gene is making actually tells the gene to stop making it. Our source gives this elegant process a very specific name: feedback repression, or feedback inhibition. This perfectly named mechanism ensures the cell never overproduces and never hoards materials. It is the ultimate manifestation of the cell's smart system, maintaining absolute peak energy efficiency by using the fruits of its own labor to regulate the assembly line.
It truly leaves you wondering just how chaotic our biology would be without this elegant, built-in system. I mean, without constitutive housekeeping genes keeping the vital lights on, without inducible genes waiting for a cue, and without feedback repression shutting down overactive factories, our cells would literally burn through all their energy in an instant. This single handwritten page of notes gives us a profound glimpse into the microscopic perfection happening inside you right this very second. We spend thousands of dollars outfitting our houses with smart tech to save a few bucks on electricity. But your cells, they've been running the ultimate, zero-waste automated system since the dawn of life itself. So it makes you wonder, what other ancient technologies is your body hiding? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning how the world inside you works.